Okay, this next reading is from Scholastic Art, and it deals with Maria Martinez. Working with Clay, featuring Maria Martinez. Next page. The World of Maria. Do you know what the oldest American art form is? It's pottery. The art of making pots out of clay and then heating them in a powerful fire to preserve them. Actually, peoples all over the world have been making pottery of one kind or another for most of human history. Everywhere, people have made and decorated their pots differently depending on where they lived and what materials were available there. The Native Americans of our nation's southwest lived in an arid desert region that offered few trees or other building materials, so they learned to use the earth itself for many of their needs. The first true potters of the region were the Mangalan people, whose culture flourished from 1000 to 1200 AD. The Mangalan also learned to build villages of stone or of sun-dried earth. Later, the Spanish conquerors called these villages pueblos, the Spanish word for village or town. And so the Native Americans of this region became known as the Pueblo Indians. Today, this name refers to many different Native American peoples, including the Hopi, the Zuni, and the Acoma. Many potters use a wheel that helps to spin the clay into a rounded shape. But traditional Pueblo potters use a different method, building their pots and plates out of coils of clay. This is a tradition passed down to Maria Martinez, who is one of the world's best known and most influential potters. She was born more than 100 years ago in the small Pueblo community of San Ildefonso, about 25 miles northwest of Santa Fe, New Mexico. Martinez lived all her life in San Ildefonso. She stayed close to home spiritually as well and actively took part in the ceremonial rituals and dances of her people's religion. She learned pottery as had generations before her by watching and imitating the work of her elders. Nobody teaches pottery, Martinez once explained. Martinez had been making pots for many years when she and her husband and co-worker Julian discovered their now famous technique for making black-on-black pottery. In 1908 and 1909, nearby archaeologists turned up a kind of ancient black pottery never seen before. They asked Martinez if she could duplicate the method used to make this black pottery. By the time Martinez died in 1980, she had breathed new life into the art of pottery making and the culture of the Pueblo people, leaving a living legacy to new generations of artists. And in the picture right next to it, it says, by the age of 19, Martinez had already been making pots for almost 10 years. Next page. I'm just going to skip over this because I can't read what's on there because of the darkness of the paper. So, going to the third page, it's bringing clay to life. Ooh, that is so cool. Next page after that. Around the world, potters have often decorated their pots by painting a scene or using human figures. The Pueblo potters preferred to use elements from nature in geometric shapes. The pot by Maria Martinez on the facing page is typical. It features a bird surrounded by stripes resembling feathers. Notice that the elements on the pot are simple, stylized shapes. The bird's stiff feathers, flattened legs, oddly shaped beak, and rounded eye look more like a cartoon than a photograph. This stylization helps the artist create a strong repeating pattern. How many repeating patterns can you find? Can you find 2 repeating patterns within the bird's feathers? You can also see how Martinez created geometric shapes, squares, straight lines, angles, circles, from organic shapes found in nature. Another important aspect of this pot's decoration is its light-colored background, which creates a negative shape. It contrasts with the dark positive shapes of the bird, the feathers, and the scallop decoration above the bird. Below, Martinez's daughter-in-law, Santana Roybal, demonstrates 6 of the main steps of making a Pueblo pot. First, Roybal mixes the clay with water and volcanic ash. She then uses a puki, or mold, to form the bottom of her pot. Next, she makes coils of clay to form its walls. She works back and forth, stacking the coils, pinching them together, and smoothing and pushing them out from the inside to create a rounded bowl. After Roybal forms the neck of the pot, she leaves the clay to dry. Then she scrapes smooth and sands the pot's outer surface to a satin finish. The sanded pot is covered with slip or liquid clay and is burnished or polished to a shine with a special smooth stone. Roybal applies decorations with brushes made from the yucca plant. Finally, the pot is fired, baked in a fire smothered with manure and covered with wood ashes. Smothering the fire traps the air, creating black smoke that turns the clay a silvery black. And right below it, it says a tradition passed down for centuries. Making a Pueblo pot involves a careful process that is hundreds of years old. Here, Pueblo potter Santana Roybal shows how raw clay is transformed into a decorated pot ready for firing. First step is mixing clay. Second step, molding the bottom. Third step, making coils. Fourth step, pushing out sides. Fifth step, forming the neck. Sixth step, decorating pot. Next page. What special qualities make pots like the four below created by Maria Martinez world famous? The gently curving form of each is perfectly balanced by the stylized, repeat design that is painted on all but one of the jars. But the main quality that sets a Maria Martinez pot apart is her characteristic use of the ancient Pueblo black-on-black pottery making technique. In three of these jars, the matte or dull surface designs stand out from the shiny silvery surface of the rest of the pot. These pots, which sometimes look gray on silver, are referred to as Martinez black on black. The artist's rediscovery of this traditional technique began as an experiment to help archaeologists, but it became something more. The beauty and mastery of her work brought world attention to the art of her people. She inspired Native American potters who came after her to experiment with a variety of techniques and designs while remaining true to their age-old traditions. One of today's most important ceramic artists is Hopi potter L. Koyawaima. Say that 5 times fast. Whose work is featured as this issue's Masterpiece of the Month on pages 8 and 9. Born in 1938 in the Los Angeles area, he spent much time visiting family in northern Arizona. There he learned Hopi ways and art from his aunt, Paligazin E. Koyawaima, a Hopi potter, educator, and writer also known as Elizabeth White. The name Koyawaima means gray fox walking at dawn. As a Hopi, Koyawaima works out of a different tradition than Martinez or Gonzalez. His pots are monochrome, or single color, rather than using one color for background and others for the decoration. Instead of painting his decorations, they are bas-relief figures, standing out from the smooth surface of his pots. Koyawaima uses organic shapes similar to those found in nature, although his figures are also stylized, slightly distorted instead of being realistic. Koyawama's work features many traditional Hopi images. On the piece seen on page 8 and 9, Koyawama portrays Kokopelli, the sacred humpback flute player who represents wisdom, goodness, and fertility. Other traditional Hopi symbols the artist often uses include 3 raised ears of corn, the food on which Hopis depended on for survival. Sometimes he portrays, sometimes he portrays dragonflies, butterflies, or other flying insects. These insects showed Hopis where to find water, the key to life itself in the harsh southwestern desert. Okay, that's the end of that one. Oh, wait a minute. Keep going. Go down 2 pages to A Timeless Tradition Continues. A family of Pueblo potters. Maria Martinez's great-granddaughter, Barbara Gonzalez, is one of the best-known current Pueblo potters. Gonzalez decorates her work with less traditional designs than Martinez used, mixing the shapes and the colors in her imagination with the natural world of her people. Still, Native American traditions inspired both her art and her life, as she continues to live on the Pueblo and to sign her work with her Indian name, Tanmaway, given to her by Martinez in the Tiwa language of their people. Okay, that's it for that one.